man who had struggled financially for years happened to utter a single phrase at exactly 5 a.m. on a Wednesday. By 9 p.m. that same day, he received a phone call that completely changed his life. An unexpected business opportunity that led to a six-figure income within just a few months. It wasn't luck, it wasn't connections, it was a phrase that triggered a spiritual law most people don't even know exists. It took him just 10 seconds to say those words, and the universe didn't delay. Results came faster than he could imagine. If this sounds too easy to be true, that very doubt might be the exact thing blocking your flow of abundance. What I'm about to share isn't empty positive thinking. It's a powerful, specific law, as real and reliable as the sunrise. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what he said and why it worked. I know you've heard plenty of miraculous transformation stories, but this isn't about repeating empty affirmations or writing $1 million on a scrap of paper. This is about mastering a principle that Neville Goddard once called the gateway to a new reality, a principle you can use the moment this video ends. If you find this message thought-provoking, don't forget to subscribe so the next time we share reality-shifting insights, you'll be the first to know. And if this video truly speaks to you, drop a comment with the number 1. If you see things differently, comment 0 and share your perspective. Your feedback matters, not just to help us understand you better, but to unlock content that truly speaks to your deepest desires. Now let me make this crystal clear. You don't need to beg. You don't need to plead for mercy from the universe. There's no one up high folding their arms, judging if you're worthy. What you need is to activate a law, a principle older than civilization itself, a law that operates silently, fairly, and never fails. The divine law of energetic response. So what exactly is it? I'm talking about the universal law of response, just like gravity. You can't see it, but you can't deny its existence. You can't negotiate with gravity for a few more seconds before you fall. It simply acts the moment you misstep. And the universal law of response works the same way. It doesn't care if you're rich or poor, good or bad, or how many times you've failed. It responds only to the frequency you emit. When you say, "I'm poor, I'm not enough, I'm afraid," you're broadcasting the frequency of lack. And like a loyal servant, it brings more conditions to keep you lacking. But when you say, "I am stepping into prosperity because it was always mine," you flip the energetic switch. You're no longer asking the universe. You're gently commanding through belief. You get what I'm saying? Then stop complaining, stop hoping, start issuing clear commands. And watch what happens in the next 24 hours. Because when you change how you speak to reality, reality changes how it responds to you. Now tell me, how does someone poor start their day and how does someone wealthy start theirs? Most people living in poverty complain about life and stress over how to make just enough money for the day. That's the root of the problem. And what do the wealthy do? They already know what needs to be done. No complaints, no hoping. It's a command spoken from the deepest part of belief. See the difference? The poor communicate with fear, the rich communicate with the law. And when you speak to the universe as if you know it's listening, it begins to listen. I'm not saying you need to fake being rich. I'm saying you need to learn to declare what you choose to believe before it becomes your reality. You don't have to shout. Just stand firm in the awareness that you have the right to speak and to receive. Here's what you must remember. The universe doesn't respond to pitiful begging. It responds to certainty. And that certainty doesn't live in your wallet. It lives in your mouth, in how you start your day. So tomorrow morning, what will you say? Will you be the one who complains or the one who commands? That answer will determine whether your bank account grows or stays empty. So what exactly is that secret phrase and why does it work? I step into and receive the abundant flow of money that already belongs to me. It appears within 24 hours by divine law. Let me break this down so you understand why every word matters. Listen closely, because this is not a request. This is a declaration, an affirmation. You're not asking, you're stepping into something that already exists for you in the unseen realm. When you say, "I step into," you're taking action. You're not standing outside watching. You're not waiting to be invited. You're walking in of your own will. And receive means you're no longer doubting. You're not hoping. You're opening your hands and taking what's yours. The abundant flow of money that already belongs to me. This is key. You're not creating money from thin air. You're calling back something that already belongs to you in the spiritual dimension, and now you're summoning it into the physical world. And it appears within 24 hours by divine law, not by chance, not by circumstance, but by law. This law operates like gravity. It doesn't need your belief to function, but when you believe, it becomes the most powerful force you've ever known. Understand this, when you say that phrase, with belief, not doubt, you step into a universe where money is no longer a problem, but a response. But here's the crucial part. If you truly understand that each word in this phrase is a precise energetic code, then you must speak it with exactness to summon the correct result. When you say, I step into, you're not hinting at the universe. You're affirming your position in a new reality. You're not standing timidly asking, may I? You walk in like an owner, because prosperity doesn't come to the hesitant. It seeks those who move with faith. When you say, I receive, you are standing in your power. No begging, no external approval needed. You don't need the world to agree. You only need your inner being to align. And that's when the flow of money begins to shift. Abundant money, notice, not just enough or a little to get by, but abundance. That means overflow, expansion, pouring forth. Because if you only wish for enough to survive, the universe won't send more. But if you declare abundance, you raise your frequency to the level of wealth. And already belongs to me. This is the most important part. You're not demanding something that isn't yours. You're activating ownership. It is yours, and all you need to do is call it by name. Finally, 24 hours. Why so specific? Because you're sending a timed signal, a command stamped with urgency. When you say something will happen soon, you leave room for delay. But when you say, within 24 hours, you put the clock in your hands, and that's when the universe acts. So what causes the seed of abundance to fail to grow? It's not a lack of sunlight. It's not poor soil. It's because you keep digging it up every hour to check. You plant a belief and then yank it out with doubt. And that, my friend, is the fastest way to kill the process. I've seen it happen hundreds of times. Someone hears a powerful phrase and they repeat it immediately. They're excited. But then 5 minutes later, they check their wallet. 10 minutes later, they check their messages. An hour later, they Google signs the universe is about to give me money. You see, they don't believe. They're waiting for the miracle to prove them wrong instead of believing they were right all along. I don't blame you if you've done this before. We were raised in a world that demands proof. But you must understand, spiritual law doesn't operate like math. It works like planting. You don't yell at a seed grow and expect a tree tomorrow. You water it, then peacefully trust that roots are forming below, even when your eyes can't yet see. Doubt doesn't always arrive with a scream. It comes quietly, like when you say, I believe now, but your hand still opens the banking app. It comes when you tell yourself, I'm practicing, but your mind whispers, are you sure? And that whisper is the silent saboteur. My dear friend, if you've made it this far, I believe you're no longer someone who just listens to know. You're someone ready to try living a different way. And here's what I want you to etch deep into your mind. When you declare something with certainty from your heart and emotions, reality has no choice but to respond. It may not come with music, fireworks, or a bank statement that explodes, but it always comes, and often it comes as a whisper, a gentle touch, a sign so subtle that you could miss it if you're not awake. Maybe it's a phone call from someone you've lost touch with, and they say, I just remembered I owe you some money, let me send it over. No asking, no reminding. Just because you've shifted your inner energy, the outer flow adjusts itself. Or maybe you get news that a fee you thought you had to pay has been waived. Not because you negotiated, but because an invisible current has rearranged the game board. And when you look back, you exclaim, how could this be such a coincidence? But you know, it's not a coincidence. You are living in a universe that listens. And it doesn't listen with ears, it listens through the frequency of your belief. When you move from wishing to declaring, from hoping to knowing, you are no longer the one watching the world shift. You are the one shifting it. So don't be surprised if today you say one sentence, and tomorrow morning, a surprising invitation arrives. Don't be doubtful if a door once closed suddenly cracks open. That's not luck, that is a response. And you, yes you, are the one who sent out the first signal. My dear friend, I know that feeling. You say your affirmation with all your heart, you exhale, and wait for something to happen. Then hours pass, a day goes by, you look at your bank account, glance around your living room and ask yourself, is something wrong? Why hasn't anything shown up yet? But stop right there and hear me say this. Nothing is wrong. You see, when you flip on the light switch, the electricity is already there, right? But the bulb doesn't shine instantly like magic. It takes less than a second, but there is still a delay. And in the physical world, this is even more true, because everything you declare in the unseen world needs time to enter the structure of the seen world. What you need is not speed, but unshakable faith, a belief that isn't rattled by temporary silence. Because while you think nothing is happening, in truth, everything is being arranged behind the scenes. Relationships are shifting, money flows are adjusting, and if you interfere with doubt, you're no different from someone who digs up the seed every hour just to see if it's sprouting yet. I want you to understand something vital. Divine law always responds instantly, no delay, no omissions. But what you affirm must travel through a complex system of time, people, circumstances, and sequences. And that system needs its rhythm. You can't yank the clock. You can only keep the fire alive. So if you've spoken that sentence and spoken it with real belief, then you've triggered a chain reaction that cannot be undone. And the only thing you need to do now is keep living as if it's on the way. No waiting, no rushing. Just receive like someone who is already prepared. Because what you declared is heading toward you, and nothing can stop it except you. My dear friend, the test now is no longer in the sentence you spoke, but in the posture you maintain after that. You can say the most beautiful sentence, but if afterward you keep checking your phone, opening your bank account, watching the clock, and sighing, then you're emitting a completely different frequency. You're telling the universe, I don't truly believe it's coming. And believe me, the universe hears that louder than your first words. Remember, 24 hours is not a delivery deadline. It's the time for you to practice faith. Just like gold needs fire to prove its purity, your faith needs a period of silence to show its real power. You can't command money to come and then act like someone afraid of failure. Your actions must align with what you've declared. I want you to imagine this. You're the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. You just signed an important contract. And after signing, you don't need to check every employee, every email. You trust the system, trust the process, and you continue doing what you need to do with calm and confidence. Likewise, after you declare, abundant money is already mine, and it comes within 24 hours by divine law, you are no longer a hopeful person, you are an owner. And an owner doesn't doubt. They act as if it's already theirs. So go for a walk, read a book, do what you love. Live like someone who knows that what they want is on its way. No urgency, no need to prove anything. Let your silence become your strongest voice. I know it's coming. I don't need to ask again. And that is when the miracle begins to unfold. My dear friend, in the end, the real question isn't, does that sentence work? The real question is, do you allow yourself to live like someone who deserves it? We weren't sent here just to struggle, to worry over bills, and to assume that lack is our destiny. No, you came into this life with a pure source code, designed for prosperity, for abundance. The sentence we've explored together is not a magic spell. It doesn't make money appear from thin air. Instead, it awakens what has been asleep inside you, the belief that you don't need permission to live well, to live richly, to live fully. You only need to allow yourself to step into it, as you've always had the right to do from the beginning. You know, the greatest thing a human can do is not to change the outside world. It's to change how they see themselves on the inside. When you change how you define yourself, you change the entire direction of your reality. So from this moment on, I want you to ask yourself, am I living based on memory or on possibility? Because if you live from what has happened, you're repeating the past. But if you live from belief in what has not yet appeared, you are rewriting your destiny. And remember, everything you need has always been waiting for you. to choose yourself. It's not this world that defines you. It is you, through your belief and your words, who defines the world you are about to enter. Personal perspective. I'm not saying you'll become rich from just one sentence, but I truly believe that words, emotions, and belief have the power to restructure reality. We've been taught too much about fear and too little about our creative power. That sentence isn't a lottery ticket, it's a mirror. You look into it and see who's truly creating your life. And with faith, I know you'll become wealthy. And now I want to ask you, have you ever spoken a sentence that changed your life? Do you believe words can change reality? If you could say one sentence to bring money to you, what would it be? Share your answer in the comments below.